I'm thinking about working for a company like Harvey Norman. In those days, Harvey Norman was better than it is now. Is that when you had an area running, there was always conferences where you would be flown all over the place, all over the country. But then Nintendo would have their days where they were launching games. Sega, obviously Sony, because I used to end up going to all of these, obviously the game nights, as we still be. They used to put on food and show all the games off, and used to give bits and pieces away. And he used to have a lot of run-ins with some of the EB people. Fuck you, EBs. Hate you. I tell you, I still hate you guys now. Don't care if you will close down. You were always a mob of dickheads. And even when I've gone in as a customer after all these, obviously not working in gaming anymore, you're still a mob of dickheads. So, I don't care if you close down. I've never liked you. JB Hi-Fi, way better. But anyway, that's a different story. Obviously go to all of these gaming things, and it was awesome. Harvey Norman decided, in their wisdom, and obviously not complaining, is they want to expose the company to gaming in the big way. So they wanted some people to go to E3. Now, at the time, E3 was trade only. Pretty big thing. It's massive. Now, it's not even existent anymore. It's all internet launches. But that was really at E3. So there was 10 people chose from the country, and all sponsored by a company. And I was lucky enough, the year 2000, to pick to go. And now, it was either THQ or Ubisoft that sponsored me. And I'm not sure why, and I'll explain that after. But we got flown out to Los Angeles. Now, they didn't really organise the days very well. I'm not complaining, but, we flew in and pretty well went to the airport. So, went from the airport to the hotel, because we went to the airport. And then straight from unpacking, if we've got to unpack and then unpack all of it, then straight to the Sony conference. Now I remember we were just so tired. The whole flight from Australia to Los Angeles, then to sit in a Sony. I fell asleep, so I don't actually really remember if the Sony conference part that they had at E3 is embarrassing. So I could actually tell you what Sony talked about that day. I was asleep. I can't believe I'm saying that, but anyway, plans a day. But, playing the course, so, it was incredible, Had to work. So, to work on the stand, if it was a THU stand, if it was the, I think it's Ubisoft the first year. It was just amazing. It was the sound, everything about it was incredible. It was just mental. It's hard to explain what it was like. The fact that, all the big EA had a massive screens everywhere. Then you had Activision with Matt Hoffman. You had the stand was like it was humongous as well. Then you had Sega Dreamcast. It was just amazing. It was just. And I was thinking it was getting paid to be there. We got taken to Hollywood Boulevard to the Chinese theatre, and we saw. I think pretty sure it was Star Wars Episode 1. And sitting there, and I actually had seen it, but it was good to be, a massive screen. One of the guys who was with one other store, he sort of nudging me a bit, behind me. So Hugh Hefner and his Playgirl Bunnies was a few rows back anyway, but they were there, so I can actually turn around and say, I went to the movies with Hugh Hefner and his Playgirl Bunnies, and I'm not lying, and stuff if you don't believe it, because it actually happened. That was incredible. In fact, I was getting paid to be in the movies watching Star Wars with Hugh Hefner and his Playgirl Buddies. It was crazy. But the other big highlight from the whole trip was that we got taken to the Activision studio. So I will put up a picture there. Now we were taken into the studios and they were talking about making the Tony Hawk games, and so it's just crazy to think we actually went to Activision. Now I think back on it, how big a deal it was. And then at the time, it really didn't come across as a big deal, but it was a big deal. So I got back and, to do a massive report for the company. And so it's a big deal. And, do one funny story from there is, now, you guys might be a bit too young. Gary Coleman used to be, I'll try to put a picture up, he was from a show called Different Strokes. What are you talking about with this little African-American Midget? Anyway, I was walking through the 3 rooms and I literally bumped into him, and he'd give this dirty look. Yeah, there you go. Well, Tony Hawk, and I had a good chat to him, and I got him to sign some stuff. I got a signed poster by Tony Hawk, Matt Hoffman, Kelly Slater and Shaun White. I will have to find that and get that in the frame. Now I've got somewhere to put it. You know, all these famous people there. I got him to Tony Hawk to sign stuff for the boys too, which they thought was the best thing ever. So, but incredible. Now, people probably couldn't believe I went, and that's fine. But it gets better. How do you think it gets better? Well, E3 2001 was coming around, and they were doing it again, but I wasn't picked. But someone from South Australia who was going, for some reason, couldn't go. I don't know the reason why. Anyway, they sent me again, and this was where they launched the OG Xbox and the GameCube, and they learnt from the first year that now THQ was the company paid for me, was over to sponsored me, so which means I worked on their stand. Now, the Harvey Norman had learnt, so they gave us more time. So we flew over there a day or two earlier, and then that means we were able to go and visit. We had to do sightseeing. We didn't really see much of Los Angeles the first time around. We ended up going to Universal Studios. All I wanted to do at Universal Studios was go on a Jaws ride. You know, there's a tram that goes around and Jaws jumps out. All I wanted to do all my life, and the day we were there, far out for repair. He was in repairs. It was in maintenance. He didn't get to see it. Oh well, can't really complain. But E3 2001 was special in a way that because I'm really good friends with a Nintendo rep as well from South. When I was Nintendo rep, he was the head of Nintendo in Australia, and he was actually from South Australia too, and he was a pro supporter. Good on him. He got me behind the scenes at the Nintendo it's crazy good. And because he was, what he is, and he got to be behind the scenes of other places too. Like at one point we were with all these developers in this auditorium, and it was not everyone could go in there. And then there was this one nerdy guy showing off his crappy looking pirate game on PlayStation, I think. Anyway, so we're sort of there, and he was just chatting away on his new game, and I said to him, or one of us said to him, I'm going to say if it was me or not, what do you do in the past, and have you done anything else? And he goes, well, we created Croft. Jesus, this guy, he's the one that created Lara Croft. He's like royalty. He's probably very rich right now, but he was a nerdiest looking guy. So anyway, he was a Lara Croft developer, but that's pretty amazing. And he did go into the Sony stuff, and Sony, we got invited to the Sony after hours party, which was just in the middle of LA, which was and apparently there's all these famous rap stars that mean stuff all to me. But days when I was working on the stand, because I had to work on the stand and help just flyers and stuff people, things like that. That's one of my jobs. But then you have to go off and do my report of the whole show. And they still got a wrestling THQ. They had women's wrestlers. Didn't mean anything to me, but they were all there mingling around. But the highlight for me was, well, there was a game, The Evil Dead, Fistful of Broomsticks, I think it was called. But anyway, Bruce Campbell was on stand with me. So, got to meet him of him now. I don't put that up, but not with me though, because I took the damn photo. Anyway, shit happens. All the video footage I've got from that E3, I didn't have a video camera in the first one. All the video footage from that video from then, and that first one, got lost on the hard drive. No evidence for that, and it's just sad because there was a lot of good stuff. Now the only photos I've got are not that great quality, but I do have some photos. But I did come back with some great memorabilia. The stuff are given away. Thrustmaster used to make controllers and steering wheels. They gave away Thrustmaster condoms. Fantastic. I actually brought them home, but they disintegrated, and I didn't use them. There's stuff I bought. Now I still have like T-shirts, other things. There was boxes somewhere. Gotta find them. It's my pass for the 2001. So it was amazing. So I guess in a way that's probably my highlight of my gaming. But the interesting thing was they showed Grand Theft Auto 3 there, and it was only in a small area because it was early build, and I remember looking at it and I talked to the guys, and I thought this is unbelievable. But the thing is, I actually looked back. Actually, before I did this, I went online and had a look. It didn't get some really good talk. With not people who looked at it and didn't like it, but I thought it was amazing. So it came out in October that year. Now when I got back, with stuff I'd learned at E3, I had to use that to do the orders because I was doing orders, and I talked boss into getting like 90 copies of GTA 3, which is massive risk. I said no, this is going to be huge, and so anyway, the hype by October come, but all the stores like didn't get amounts, minimum, like even the EBs didn't get many, but we had like a lot of copies, so that was big thing. That, I mean, I did the good books of boss at that point because I was able to, supply places couldn't. So I had Dreamcast, I had a Nintendo 64, I had obviously one in the PlayStation 2, and I got a PlayStation 3. So I had Nintendo, all the boys, I had PSPs, or especially used to get every single console. The beauty of actually working where I was, especially with Sony, I used to get a copy of everything they released. So I generally wanted on a blue disc. Still got a lot of them. So it was awesome. And like I had that many games, that much stuff. And I used to get from Xbox as well. Is that my boys, the kids didn't even appreciate it. Used to come to my place, and I used to have new games all the time. So they didn't have a families that used to get one game every now and again. My kids had new games all the time. So it's straight over their head. Now they look back and they appreciate it. But at the time it was, they get it. So, but, they're lucky. So, and one of the other big things was I remember Grand Theft Auto 4 came out, and I had to have a big operation. I can't remember what it for, probably my knee, and I was work for a while, actually a fair while. So it could have been when I had my knee replacement. Anyway, so my boss, we got it early, like a week early, because sometimes they did that, so it would make sure everyone could release it the same day. I talked my boss into let me take it home. So GTA 4 a week before launch, but I had to make sure it would have been on my Xbox 360 because I've got a box up there. Make sure I wasn't online when I played it, and so I was playing it a week before anyone else was. Very naughty. We could have got so much shit for that, but anyway, so eventually ended up leaving that, and I miss it, but gaming it did from retail bit changed. It became small, and online stuff. It's just all it used to be. It was fun. So these days I'm just consoles. It's consoles. I mean, console I don't actually have is 5 now. Only because I haven't got it yet. That's it. I've the Xbox One, and I like the Xbox because Game Pass is awesome. Like my flight sim, that's why I got the Xbox One. Thanks guys at the Age XP. Actually, go and check them out. I will try and put the link down in below if I learn how to bloody well do it. But I still love my retro gaming. I still will play my retro games. I still to get all my retro stuff out. Now I've got heaps still I've got to go through. I've got a lot of stuff. So, and I kept posters, and I did keep posters when I was in the video industry. As a Star Wars stuff you might see. But yeah, I'm want to get myself a pinball machine. That would be nice. But anyway, that's me gaming. You're playing Call of Duty most of the time, or being on my VR. And the game I'm most excited for right now, Fable. Can't wait. So anyway, that's me. This has been a big rant, probably a bit too long. May have to edit it down. Who knows? If you like it, come back and see me again sometime. I'll do some smaller ones. I do have some couple of reviews in the process for my VR, which I will get out eventually. Too busy these days, that's my issue. Thank you. Goodbye.